Afternoon, everyone who's joined us for the next instalment of the Business School Professional Lecture Series. We are delighted to be back after the success of the first instalment. Thanks for joining us. It's great to see some lots of kind of familiar names in the attendee list. So thank you for joining us. The event is being recorded, so if you don't want to feature in the recording, please do ensure that your camera's off for the duration of the event. This is Zoom Pro, so we will be using the chat box throughout the event. Please do pop your questions in there when it's time for the Q&A after John's talk. But before then, feel free to use it for networking, engaging with other people, and sharing your thoughts and comments on what John is sharing today. John has a wealth of experience that he is happy to share with you today. He's got a lot of international experience, having worked across Europe, in Nigeria and Canada. And I do know from working with John for years and through planning this, that this is something, emotional intelligence work is something that he's incredibly passionate about. So if you do have questions for him, please do pop them in the chat box when it's time, and he'll be happy to work his way through those. I'll be moderating the event. If you have any questions for me, please do pop them in the chat box. I'll be in the background throughout the event. That's all from me. John, over to you for your lecture.
Yeah, thank you very much, Neil. Let me go straight away by sharing my screen so we can get cracking. Right. I'd like to thank the School of Business for the opportunity to share this session with you. It's about applying emotional intelligence at work. This talk actually is a short summary of what will normally be a training program that can run for 2 days. So what I intend to do this afternoon is to raise your awareness about the importance of emotional intelligence at work. It is obvious that we all work with people, or will continue to work with people. There are 2 quick narrations I'd like to throw at us this afternoon, which in a way emphasizes the importance of emotional intelligence at work. For example, is there a difference between sympathy and compassion? There is a difference. Is there a difference between effectiveness and efficiency? There is a difference. If you are if you have compassion, it follows that you'll have some sympathy. You can be effective and not be efficient. Okay? So you can be intelligent and not being emotionally intelligent. So the challenge this afternoon is to challenge us on the importance of not just being intelligent, but by being emotionally intelligent at work. And the goal of the awareness I'm trying to raise is to create a situation where we can have a win-win situation in the workplace. People are watching you just as you are watching people, and the signals you throw or the signals you display goes a long way to attract people to you. The signal you display also goes a long way to build engagement in the workplace. So this issue of being emotionally intelligent at the workplace, it's an ongoing challenge in the workplace. And I just want to share a bit of the challenges and the experiences I've had over the past years, and to see if I can build up some awareness amongst you all with the notion of being emotionally intelligent at the workplace. Okay, so what is emotional intelligence all about? What is it all about? It impacts many different aspects of your daily life. And that is why it's important, because it impacts many different aspects of your daily life. It also relates to the way you behave. It impacts on the way you behave, the way you interact with others, okay? It makes us think or feel and act the way we do. So being emotionally intelligent really is key to success in the workplace for those reasons, okay? Let's take a quick trip and just give a brief definition of what emotional intelligence is all about. It's the ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings and emotions in order to discriminate and use such information to guide one's thinking and action. I mean, can you imagine that you have a source that will help guide your thinking and your action in the workplace, in your relationship with people? It will go a long way to create a successful platform for you and for those who work with you. It is the ability to identify, use, understand, and manage emotions in positive ways to relieve stress. Yes, to relieve stress, to communicate effectively, to empathize with others, to overcome challenges and diffuse conflict. So we really cannot but embrace emotional intelligence in the workplace. We really cannot but embrace it, okay? Let's look at emotional intelligence versus IQ, because again, as I said, it's okay to be efficient, but you can be efficient and not effective, okay? So that is what this can be linked up to, okay? So let's look at emotional intelligence versus IQ that we all are familiar with, okay? So it talks about intellectual ability. I mean, that is what IQ talks about, okay? Emotional intelligence, on the other hand, focuses on awareness of self and others. It talks about emotional management and people skills, okay? So it goes beyond you. It is you and those who work with you, okay? And what is emotion? I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but it's something in you that spurs you up, okay? You can't touch it, but you know it. You can't touch it, but you can feel it. It's discrete and consistent response to internal or external events. How you respond to events is a reflection of how you manage your emotions. It's what makes us think, feel, and act the way we do. Our emotional intelligence is what makes us think, feel, and act the way we do. So let's look at some of the benefits of being emotionally intelligent. The first one is self-awareness, which is ability to recognize and understand your emotions and how they affect your life and work, thoughts and behavior. Know your strengths and weaknesses and have self-confidence. Self-awareness also, it's people who are in touch with their emotions and are able to guide their life. Then we talk about self-management. Ability to understand your feelings and use this understanding to deal with emotional situations. This does not mean suppressing or denying emotions, but using them to deal with situations productively. For example, controlling your moods so that worry, anxiety, fear do not get into the way of thinking clearly what needs to be done. Let's quickly look at more benefits of being emotionally intelligent. It creates social awareness. And what is social awareness? Ability to understand and empathize with others. Socially aware people are empathic and they have the ability to put themselves in someone else's shoes, sense their emotion, and underrate their perspective. Still talking about emotional intelligence and the benefits. It also exposes relationship management. In other words, the ability to connect with others in ways that build positive network. Good relationship managers treat others with compassion, sensitivity, and kindness. They use the understanding of emotions to inspire, to change, and lead people towards something better. It is also the ability and the awareness to build teamwork and collaborations and resolve conflicts as they arise. So what is emotional competence? Emotional competence is the fallout of being emotionally intelligent. It's anchored on 4 cognitive components as follows. 1, the capacity to perceive emotion, the capacity to interpret emotion in thought, the capacity to understand emotions, the capacity to manage emotions effectively. When all these cognitive components are effectively used or exhibited in interactions with others, a person is said to have emotional competence, which includes self-awareness, impulse control, persistence, confidence, self-motivation, empathy, social defiance, trustworthiness, adaptability, and ability to work collaboratively. So building on emotional engagement. Building on emotional engagement. One thing that is key to successful interpersonal skills in the workplace is how to engage with people. So emotional intelligence can further be extended as a tool for building on employee engagement. Why? Because enduring engagement is key. It is people management in action. It's understanding the environment to show empathy and listen, to test understanding, and to continually question, and to avoid harsh words and talking over. Now let's think it through and talk it through at this point. Do you understand both your strengths and weaknesses? Do you understand your emotional strengths and weaknesses? Can you be depended on to take care of every detail? Do you hate to let things slide? Are you comfortable to change and open to novel ideas? Are you motivated by the satisfaction of meeting your own standards of excellence? Do you stay optimistic when things go wrong? Do you see things from other person's point of view and sense what matters most to that person? Do you let customers' needs determine how you serve them? Customers' needs may not necessarily be needs in terms of buying and selling. Your students are part of your customers. Colleagues are part of your customers. Do you enjoy helping co-workers develop their skills? Do you read office politics accurately? Are you able to find win-win solutions in negotiations? There are some reinforcement exercises that I need to challenge us with. Okay? Self-awareness can be developed through practice of seeking ongoing feedback. Ask supervisors, co-workers, colleagues, and friends who know you well for honest feedback on how your behavior is impacting them. I had a general manager that I worked with a couple of years ago. He had his first day in the office and invited me to his office. I was head of HR. And he said to me, John, there are 3 things I want to throw at you, and I would like you to be honest. Number 1, could you please tell me things, policies that my predecessor followed that you would like me to continue to follow? Question number one. Question number two. Could you tell me things my predecessor did that I should not do? Okay. Question number three. Can you tell me things that my predecessor did not do that you think I should do? And I like to make it sound interesting and maybe perhaps putting us in a lighter mood. Those of us who are teachers, try this out. When you stand in front of the classroom, ask your students, in your previous classes or your previous lectures, tell me something that my colleague did that you would like me to continue to do. Tell me what my colleague did that you think I should stop doing. And tell me what my colleague did not do that you would like me to do. I mean, this is just an example of how you can establish self-awareness, okay? The ability to demonstrate yourself as a cooperative, contributing, and constructive member of a group is critical for long-term career success. Reinforcement exercise. If you become aware of something that you are doing that produces negative consequences, start monitoring yourself for this behavior. Another powerful aid to developing those emotional intelligence skill areas that you want to reinforce is to make commitment to another person, another colleague, who in turn will put pressure on you when you do not comply with the area in need of improvement. These are examples of reinforcement exercises. Okay, let's look at action plan, for example. In what areas of applied emotional intelligence do I need most to improve? Why? What will my payoff be? What potential obstacles stand in my way? What are the specific things I will do to enhance my emotional intelligence? For example, address the reinforcement exercises I mentioned earlier on. When will I do them? How and when will I measure my success? In what areas of applied emotional intelligence do I need to most improve? Do you read emotions? Do you understand the emotions of those around you? I had a managing director who you can't read anything from his face, and therefore you are not likely going to be encouraged from what you see on the emotions it shows or displays on his face. If you say to him, we just hit $2 billion sales last week, if you are waiting for a smile, you will not get one. He didn't mean he wasn't excited. He didn't mean he wasn't appreciating the hard work the team had put in, but that is him, and you've got to understand him. I also had a managing director that told me, he said, John, look at my face. When your boss is stupid, you don't tell him he's stupid. You don't tell him or her they are stupid. I mean, this is all part of how we manage relationships. And therefore, what are the specific things I or you need to do to enhance my emotional intelligence? When will I do them? How and when will I measure my success? The starting point could be to ask yourself, ask your colleagues, what is it about me that you think excites you each time? What is it about you that sometimes worries me? What is it about me that you think I should look at curbing or improving on? It's about a win-win situation. People watch me, people watch you, how we respond. And that's why I started by saying that you can be sympathetic and not being compassionate. You can be efficient and yet not effective. But when you're emotionally intelligent, you can understand what it means to be effective. and at the same time being efficient, because you are sensitive to what you see. You are sensitive to how people see you and how people portray you. So let's look at the signposts for emotional intelligence, the competencies. Be aware of your feelings and actions and act congruently. Sharing your feelings in a straightforward and composed manner. Trusting others with compassion, sensitivity, and kindness. Assessing potential reactions of others before acting and altering your actions based on these assessments. And combating stress. It's very interesting that we can even combat stress through being emotionally intelligent. And how do we do that? Stop the denial. Admit that you are stressed. Plan your work, activities, and finance. Get enough sleep. Do not bite more than you can chew. Set realistic goals and delegate. Love your work or vote with your feet. Mind the company you keep. Lead, not control. Ask for help when you need it. Hope changes everything. Take frequent several breaks. Observe lunch break. Informal meetings. Listen to subordinates. Fair but firm in your decisions. Don't seek popularity. Exercise. Choose a physical activity you really enjoy. Proper adaptation and prevention. Start believing you are a changing and dynamic individual. So in essence, I'm saying three things. The first thing is this. We work with people. We work around people. In our working relationship, it's either we are colleagues, we are supervisors, or we are subordinates. It doesn't really matter. But what matters really is, do you understand your colleague? Do you understand yourself? Do you understand your subordinates? Do you understand those you report to? But start with yourself. Ask yourself, do I understand myself? How do I respond to the things I see and the things I hear? How do I manage my emotions? What do I think puts me off? What do I expect people to do to me to get me motivated? So not only is it important you understand yourself, it's also important you understand those who are around you. Because the emotions sometimes makes a lot of difference in how you appreciate them. If you understand that a smile sometimes holds a lot more meaning than a laughter, you have just started the journey of being emotionally intelligent. I repeat, if you understand that a smile sometimes holds a lot more meaning than a laughter, then you have started your journey into being emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence is not a gift, but a skill that takes practice. We do not act emotionally because we are intelligent. In fact, we achieve intelligence by acting emotionally. So the second point is, do you know yourself? Okay, do you know yourself? Do you know yourself? And the third and final point is, would you like to take a journey into discovering yourself and those who work with you? What makes them tick? What makes them excited? I hope that I have brought about some awareness this afternoon about the importance of building self-awareness, understanding those who walk around us, the things that make them happy, and the things that perhaps do not make them happy. Thank you very much. I'll be willing to take any questions at this point.
Thank you, John. Thank you for an incredibly passionate and holistic approach to emotional intelligence. I feel like I went on a bit of a journey with you there, and I'm sure the rest of our audience did too. We're going to go over some questions now. I've got a couple of questions that have come into me privately, so we'll address those first. One thing that I just wanted to know, John, is kind of like you've obviously gone on a huge journey, kind of like in terms of kind of like your knowledge, your understanding, everything that you've achieved around emotional intelligence. Why?
I worked in Nigeria, I worked in the US, I worked in Canada, I worked in Nigeria. I was called to a meeting by my head of department a couple of years ago when I was working in the US, Cincinnati Bell precisely, and he said we're going to meet at 12 noon. So we all showed up, the boardroom, sat down. Of course, some of us got there 5 to 12, and we just kept on gisting. The normal thing that happens when you go for a meeting, the first crew will be discussing, sharing all kinds of things, okay? So we're just discussing. And she came in, a minute past 12, 5 minutes past 12, 10 minutes past 12, 15 minutes past 12, 20 minutes past 12. We're just talking about all kinds of things, football, politics. And she enjoyed, she just joined us in the discussion. So we kept on looking at each other. When is the meeting going to start? And when it was quarter to one, he said, folks, that's it. See you next week, Wednesday. We said, what about the meeting? He said, we just had one. And that was interesting. All she was trying to do was to size us up, just trying to gauge our emotions about all kinds of things. And that was an intelligent way of trying to figure out those you work with, what is their attitude about politics, what is their attitude about all kinds of things. So I've worked with people from different backgrounds. I've reported to managers who are Americans, who are Indians, who are British, just name it. I've also had people who have reported to me who are, from all kinds, all places in the world, and I've worked with people, my colleagues who are also from different backgrounds. The point I'm trying to make is having worked with different people, having experienced different cultures and different bosses and different colleagues, I've come to realize that for you to be successful, you've got to step back and ask yourself, do I understand myself? And do I understand those who walk around me? So I know that if there is a meeting, doesn't necessarily mean the meeting will hold. It also does not mean the meeting must delve into all kinds of discussions, but it just means that there are various ways of trying to get a feel of those who work with you.
Thank you. That leads us nicely onto our question from Sunita, actually. How can you recognize your own strengths and weaknesses in the absence of asking others?
I had a car wreck a couple of years ago, and I got into the office, and a few colleagues came to me and they said, oh, we learned about what happened to you. Sorry, sorry. And several people came to me and said, sorry. But some particular guy came to me and said, oh, sorry, what a shame. You know what he did? He emptied his wallet. He showed me the difference between being sympathetic and being compassionate. So you can sense it with your experience and how you respond to issues. You can. So ask yourself, what would you have done in that kind of situation? Ask yourself. I mean, some of us teach here. I've had a case where a student has said to me, every example you've given, all the answers you've given, I disagree with you completely. And how do you respond? I mean, that is a student who is absolutely compassionate about how he or she feels. Do you say, well, sorry, I'm the boss here, I'm the lecturer here, I know what I'm talking about? How do you respond? Do you say, that's fine, let's have a word about it at the end of the class? Or do you want to show how so fantastic you are by putting him down in front of everybody? How do you respond? So the question I ask you is, how do you respond when people throw their emotions at you? Do you fall for it? Do you fall for it? I mean, I've been in meetings before where, someone has, maybe disagreed with me, and, I had the option to decide on whether to get into, a serious argument or to just keep quiet and talk to the person thereafter. So again, do you understand yourself? Are you able to calm down when you are put under pressure? Okay? And that's why I said one of the lessons I learned from one of my bosses is, tell me what you think my predecessor was doing correctly that I should continue doing. And tell me what he did that I should not even do. And tell me things he did not do that you think I should do. So it's do you talk to your colleagues? Do you go to your colleagues once in a while and say, is that something you don't like about me? Let's start with that. Let's start with that. Go to your colleague. When you are having your appraisal, we all have our annual appraisals with our immediate bosses. Do you say to your boss, is that something you think I'm not doing well, I should improve on? Or are you really, upset when people tell you things that they think you could work on? Okay, so it calls for some submission, because once you are aware of yourself, then you've won the first lesson, because then it becomes easier for you to want to also understand people and how they respond in circumstances.
Thank you. What do you think some of the barriers are for self-awareness in terms of understanding, in people understanding themselves?
Denial. Self-denial. Self-denial. I mean, how many people agree with me that you can be efficient and yet not be effective? Do you agree with me? I mean, how many people agree with me that, you can be a manager and not be a leader? You can be a manager and not be a leader. But you can't be a leader without being a manager. How many people agree with me? I mean, we can keep talking about this, but it's the basics. It's self-denial.
Yeah. I definitely think the majority of the audience, in terms of their own experience, have experienced that, themselves. I certainly have. So another question we've got is, how do you encourage a manager, for example, to be a better leader if they demonstrate a lack of empathy or emotional intelligence and they're aware of it? What would you suggest without forcing them against their will to make changes?
Tell them, in my view, to answer those three questions. I think it's fundamental. They should be bold enough. If they want to be effective, they should be bold enough to say, tell me something that you wish I did, that my predecessor did and did so well. And tell me something which I'm doing that I should stop doing. And
John,
also tell me something you think I'm doing well that I should continue doing. It's being open. Being open.
fantastic. Would you be able to share those questions afterwards with me so that I can forward them to all our attendees today?
Certainly.
Thank you. We have another question. How has COVID-19 impacted emotional intelligence in terms of lockdown, isolation? We're all social beings, and it's undoubtedly had an effect.
If you stand on the queue and somebody is coming too close to you, not observing social distance, what do you do? Do you shove them away? Yeah, but you can just give a smile and just signal that the person was coming too close rather than a frown. Okay, so COVID-19, one of the things that COVID-19 has done is it has taught us how to be very, very receptive to those around us. It has taught us how to be very, very friendly. It has taught us how to be very, very accommodating and engaging. It has taught us to look at the next person, just as you look after yourself. So in short, what I'm trying to say is it's a respecter of nobody. And when you are, in the midst of people, don't take a suspicious attitude towards how you relate with everybody. Don't be suspicious. Be friendly. Don't disappear all of a sudden because you think somebody is coming too close to you. I mean, there are various ways you can pass on that signal that, you know what, it doesn't seem as if you're, maintaining social distance. Okay, so it's taught us to be a lot more engaging and a lot more accommodating. Then don't let us unduly display our unconscious bias towards people. Okay.
Thank you. We're going to go to some live questions. Does anyone have a live question for John? If you do, please pop your camera on and just signal to me that you'd like to ask a live question. Linda, your microphone's on. Would you like to go first?
Yes, really. It's not so much a question, but just something that might contribute. But thank you, John. And I didn't have the strength of character that you have when I first started lecturing to ask the students what they would like me to do better, or what would they like me to do that my predecessor had done. But I found out anyway that he admired him very much, and he loved music. He taught taxation like me, but he used to play the students music when they first came into the lecture hall. Now, music is very calming, and although students chatter and shuffle around sitting here and there, they listen to the music, and it was always different. He wanted to introduce them to different types of music, and then when he was ready, he turned the music down, and there was complete silence, no chattering, nothing. And then he could start his lecture in a very nice, fresh way. And he didn't tell me that, but the students did. And I just thought, what a lovely practice that I could share. And I don't know if anyone else does that. Perhaps you all do that. And I was the only person that didn't. But I just thought it was a nice understanding of how students are and how they like to be at the beginning of the lecture.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I might also add that doing something that your predecessor did was just a way of trying to say, make a mark for yourself. Make a mark for yourself, because you may not necessarily be able to do that particular thing.
Yeah.
So it's much more of make a mark for yourself than copying your predecessor.
Yes.
If you get the point.
Learn from the experience, but do your own, play to your own strengths.
Yeah. I mean, I like telling stories. I do tell stories. Some students.
Yes, and you tell them well.
I got a letter from a student 2 days ago that was saying, "Oh, I missed your stories. I missed your stories." Well, we not all the storytellers, okay, but what is it that you think you can do to catch their attention? And that's the point. So there has to be something that you think you can do that brings, in good memory the students, and perhaps is an attraction.
When they give you a clap at the end, you feel you achieved something. When they clap.
Thank you, Linda. Mike, you have a question. You're on mute, Mike. Oh, sorry, Mike, you're on mute. Yeah, don't worry, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I'm just interested, John, and thank you for the session. I'm just interested in your views on the extent to which the measurement of emotional intelligence should play a role in selection processes? The measurement of candidates' level of emotional intelligence.
One of the things that we did whilst I was in industry was, for certain level of positions, we had to set up an observation session as part of the selection process. And in that environment, there were all kinds of situations that were put in place so you could kind of intuitively show the kind of person you are. Okay, so we put you all in an apartment, and there are all kinds of things there. So if you are passionate about cooking, I mean, you can go and cook. If you just want to go to your room and lie down, there are no rules. If you would like to sit down and watch television, fine. If you would like to spend all the day in the swimming pool, fine. If you'd like to be engaging in discussions, fine. So what we did was, it was a way of you showing the kind of person you are, and how you can respond to situations, and so we know whether you fit into that kind of job or not. And we did that for young managers. So when we are looking at accountants, salespeople, HR people, production people, engineers, so we would not tell those who are observing what position you were applying for. Just wanted to see how you played out, you know, your behavior and everything. And at the end, we'll be able to say, hey, look, there are 4 candidates there who we've identified for the position of electrical engineer. I think candidate A or B might be a better candidate based on what we've observed them do. Because your emotion, one way or the other, you can't hide it for too long. You play it out.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. We've got some more questions in the chat box. We have a question from, Larissa. Can you please tell us about a time when your mood altered your performance positively or negatively, and how did you deal and learn from this experience?
Sorry, question again, sorry.
Can you please tell us about a time when your mood altered your performance positively or negatively, and how did you deal and learn from this experience?
Good one. I obviously had found myself also in circumstances when I'd had to face challenges with my mood. I had led several negotiations, with trade unions. I've led negotiations with management staff, and I'd had occasions where I had been told straight to my face that I was just an agent of the management, and I was a liar, and I was just playing around with company facts and documents, and I was not fit a person to sit down and to be negotiated with. And what I did on that occasion was I said, let's close the meeting, because I knew if we continued, I was going to say a few things that was going to maybe destroy the meeting. And so what I've always done in the past, whenever I thought my mood was going to overtake me, I brought the meeting very rapidly to a close, and I gave them the option to choose another date for us to meet again. So I never shut the door for another meeting, no matter what way my mood was going, no matter what way it went. I never shut the door. I always created an opportunity for another meeting, because I felt that sometimes you should allow tempers to cool down. So yes, so your mood should not create a situation where you do not have an opportunity for another meeting. So that's how I'd always manage my mood when I thought they were going to overtake me. I made sure I closed the meeting and I said, what do you think about next week Tuesday, next week Friday? So that is in response to me being told I was all kinds of whatever, you know. So let's fix a date for another meeting. Would you prefer a Wednesday or Thursday, or would you prefer a Friday? And that way I was able to put my mood under control. And when I'd always found myself excited and really on top of my mood, I'd always said something like, guess what, the Christmas party for this year, come with your wives, come with your children, come with your neighbors. We're going to have a terrific time. And that meant I was blowing the company budget. But yes, whenever I was in a good mood, I made sure I didn't go too far. And I'll tell you a very quick story. We had an occasion where we were negotiating and we got to a point where the employees were asking for increase, double the amount on death benefit. Death benefit. They wanted the amount increased. Death benefit. But I'd been given a mandate. I'd been given a particular amount and I was told not to exceed that amount. Under no circumstance should I exceed that amount. But it was one of these meetings where you were really, really excited. I was feeling very, very, very good. And I said to the chaps, I said, you know what? We are going to double your death benefit. Let's go for it. And my colleagues took a look at me and said, you just let your mood get the best out of you. I said, no, sometimes when your moods are trying to get the best of you, you can still get it right. So what got through to the managing director that had exceeded the mandate? And I got a letter from the head office the following week. And I was invited. And I was told there was a letter from the head office with respect to my change of the death benefit. But the story is nobody had died over the past 5 years. So even if I increased the amount, I wasn't taking any risk. You know what happened? I got promoted for being able to manage my mood without destroying the company.
Thank you. Thanks for those brilliant tips. I think you handled those situations better than some people. I know I'm someone that I type an email and I'll type everything I need to say and then I'll stop and revisit it later. So I definitely need to take some of your tips on board. We have a question from Carl. I wonder if the factors you give for emotional intelligence are cultural determinants. For example, trustworthiness may have different connotations in different cultures.
There are two things. Yes, to some extent, the culture can impact on how emotions are played out. Okay, for example, in this part of the world, you see an athlete, just won 100 meters race and he's crying. He's crying. But I don't think that an athlete in Nigeria would just succeed in, winning the race and it's just crying. It's a sign of weakness. Why should you cry? You've just broken the world record. Why should you cry? So, yes, people express their emotions in different ways based on their cultures. But one thing that is certain is how does your environment respond to emotional intelligence? You must take that on board. I mean, in a world of people being able to go around the world, one of the things we teach on expatriation is you must work on your interpersonal skills. So you move from one culture to another culture, you must understand their emotions. You must understand what it means. If you say thank you to them, you must understand what it means if you say hello to them, okay? I was saying to someone the other day, what business, do you have in this part of the world inviting your immediate boss to your son's wedding? What business? What relationship? If it's not your friend, what relationship? Now, if you did that in some parts of the world, and you didn't invite your immediate boss to your son's wedding, you've destroyed the relationship. I mean, you say, well, you know what, you don't think I'm good enough, or you don't trust me, or you don't think I'm friendly to you. So one of the tricks about understanding how you manage emotions is you've got to ask yourself, where am I? Okay? What makes sense in this environment? How do people respond to emotions in this environment? When I went to the US, my first class in my MBA class, the professor, we went out on a tea break, and everybody was, grabbing tea, and he was talking to us while we were joking and we were laughing. And that doesn't happen, or that wouldn't happen where I came from. Professor sharing tea with you and laughing, are you joking? Are you joking? The professor is talking to you and you're sharing tea and you're sharing coffee, are you joking? He's seen as some kind of unique human being, very far away. You don't go close to him. So again, you've got to understand the environment. Now, that didn't make him a bad guy. No, not at all. But it's the culture. Okay? Neither does the chap that shares tea or coffee with you that doesn't make him a good guy either. But it's the culture.
Thank you. We have time for one more live question, if anyone does have a live question, but we just want to go to a couple of questions in the inbox. What would be your advice to be fair, sympathetic, but firm at the same time as a business manager to get a proper balance?
Have no favorites, and don't make it look like you have any favorites. Don't. Have no favorites. Don't make it look like you have any favorites. I'll tell you another story. When I was working in this same company, very interesting guy, my supervisor, Monica Vance, I will never forget her name, Monica Vance. Whenever she was going on vacation, she asked one of us to run the department. She had nobody permanently assigned to run the department in her absence, not one. So she could ask Tom to run it today, next Monday. If she goes to Pennsylvania, she will ask Margaret to run the department. What was she trying to say to us? Got no favorite. I got no favorite. I see you just as you are. So that way, if she's trying to put her feet down and say no to me, the first thing that comes to my mind will not say, well, I'm not her favorite, that's why he's treating me that way. No, she just asked me to run the department last week.
Thank you.
So if Sarah Moore Williams is listening to us, for example, the next time she goes on vacation, ask me to come and run the show as the acting dean.
I think you do a cracking job, John.
And the next time, ask Susie to be the acting dean. I'm joking. No, I'm joking. All I'm saying is send the signal, okay, that you have no favorites. It goes a long way to establish trust. It goes a long way for people to embrace the decisions you make when you put your feet down, because you've just said to them, or you've just acted, you have no favorites.
That's great advice. Thank you, John. One last question. Is there a problem calling EI intelligence as such, like having a high IQ? Is it really intelligence as we know it? We've got a couple more minutes, so.
Yeah. You can have an IQ, fantastic, but that doesn't make you effective. That doesn't make you efficient. You can have an high IQ, it doesn't make you efficient. You can be. Let me not mix it up. You see, high IQ obviously makes you intelligent, but does not make you emotionally intelligent. Okay, high IQ makes you effective, but may not make you efficient. So I worked also in a place where at 45, I was general manager. Now in that culture, you don't become general manager at 45. You do not. You don't become general manager because you are smart. You do not. You become general manager because you're an old man. you've seen the world, so you are 55, you are 65, then you can be general manager. That is that culture. Okay, so that culture believed in age as a means of being effective. That is not correct. Okay, you can be effective and not efficient. So you have another culture also, which goes to another extreme that says, you know what, if you are smart, you can be anything. Yes, if you are smart, you can be anything. You can be chief executive at 35, fine. You are effective, but you may not be efficient. So, and that is the whole essence of paternalism when you talk about management in developing economies, because there's this father figure that they see in you and they assume you are efficient, you are effective. Whereas if you were younger, they will see you as effective and not efficient, because they will not think, they will think you can be sensitive enough to the issues of life.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think we'll finish there, John. Thank you so much. I just want to read some words that Usha has shared. That was a totally spiritually enlightened presentation, John. Words, behaviours can build and destroy. So thank you, Usha, for your comments. Thank you, everyone, for your comments and your input today. But huge thank you to you, John. You for sharing your passion, your expertise, but for just being a wonderful person, colleague, and storyteller. So thank you so much. There's lots of comments in there, so I'll leave you to read them, but that's all for today's lecture. This will be recorded and shared afterwards with everyone, so thank you very much.
What I would just quickly like to say to colleagues is that it's a shame that we can't get into the nitty-gritty of me giving you questionnaires to complete that are deep enough for me to understand which aspect you need help. Is it in self-awareness? Is it in social awareness? Is it in people relationship and all the rest? Because this actually is a summary of a training program that I ran for 2 days for Mobil. Mobil is an oil company in Nigeria. So this is 2 days program compressed into an hour. But what is missing, I'll tell you what is missing. What is missing in this session is participatory questionnaires that are actually a journey into self-discovery. So hopefully sometime in future, if we do have the time, we can organize some other session out of the professional session where I could challenge you with some interesting questionnaires, with interesting stories and interesting working documents that can push you to the journey towards being a lot more emotionally intelligent. I know you all are intelligent. I give it to you all. I've been speaking to absolutely fantastic, intelligent colleagues. You all are, otherwise you will not be in your job. You all are, I give that to you. But we also need to ask ourselves how emotionally intelligent we are. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. And John, anything that you do want to share with people, I'm happy to circulate afterwards as well. We just had a question about the recording. The recording will be edited, just to put a nice fancy glossy cover on it, and that will be uploaded to the LSBU YouTube channel in the next week or so. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Look forward to seeing you at the next one. Okay. And I'm going to pop in the details of the next set of events there. If you go to our Eventbrite Studio page, you can find our next couple of lectures in the series. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.